Well, thanks for all the messages in the chat. Thank you so much to those who are joining us again. We're thrilled you decided to join us again. And for those who are new, we are happy to be here with you and happy you joined us after probably what is a long day of work. So I am Amanda Klein-Cox, and I'm the Project Implementation Manager for Kin Carolina. Today, we're going to be talking all about peer support, and you're going to get to see our amazing staff members, peer liaisons, do a little simulation for you about what peer supports look like in our program, and just to learn a little bit more about what types of challenges come up for kinship caregivers. Oh, so just as a reminder, this is the second of three series in our series this week. Yesterday, we talked about the journey of kinship care, and tomorrow we'll be talking about the research side of things and kind of the experience of our stakeholders in the program. So we hope you do join us then as well. Today, we'll, like I said, do some introductions, learn about you, see what you know about peer support. We'll have a little presentation from my colleague Angela about peer supports in kinship care specifically. We'll spend most of our time on the simulation today, and then would love to hear from you. And our objectives today, after tonight's session, you'll be able to articulate 2 reasons why peer support can be a critical resource for kinship caregivers and identify some best practices for offering peer supports in a programmatic setting. All right, so we want to hear from you. So we want to know where you're from. I see in the chat a lot of people from the Carolinas again, which is wonderful. Hello from Pennsylvania. It's great to see people from other places as well. Looks like maybe we have a little bigger spread than we did yesterday, which is exciting. All right, let's go to the next one. How are you connected to kinship care? Okay, so we have some kinship caregivers in the chat here, and also happy to have everyone who's here and just wants to learn more. That's awesome. Looks like we have a lot of providers on as well. Thank you for staying late in your workday. Before I kick this off and send this to my colleague Angela, we have one question just to see what you know about peer supports. So would love to know what word, one or 2 words would you describe or use to describe peer support. So even if you're not familiar with kinship care, you might be familiar with peer supports in another context. So if you can put them in the whole everywhere, yeah, it's starting to build out our word cloud. Lived experience, yep, love it. Ooh, compassion, that's great. Community, connection, empathy. Love that. I see in the chat, common experience. I'm assuming from some of the things in this word cloud that maybe didn't populate, but like someone who's walked the walk. I see walked in there a few times, definitely. A mentor, love that. Non-judgmental. These are really great contributions. Thank you.
I feel like these are all the words I'm about to use. Destigmatization. Group of like-minded individuals that share same experiences.
Yeah, I see in the chat, like it's so needed because these people have already been there, and that's so critical. All right, well, this is wonderful. Thank you all for sharing. We know everyone, sometimes just needs someone who understands what they're going through. And so even if you're not as familiar with kinship care, we hope you can relate to what we're talking about in this session. I am going to introduce my colleague, Dr. Angela Tobin, who is our intervention manager for Kin Carolina.
Welcome, everyone. It's so great to be here. I feel like I'm in the room with you all, even though we're just on Zoom. Just a quick introduction about myself. So I am currently the intervention manager for Kin Carolina. So it's been such a privilege and honor to be able to put together this program, but to meet so many amazing peer liaisons, caregivers, team members along the way. You all heard from Dr. Denby yesterday and really saw her vision for Kin Carolina. So I'm so honored to be a part of this team. And in the spirit of peer support, I will say that I also have lived experience with kinship care, which is really what got me into this work. I watched my grandparents care for my cousin for about 8 years growing up, and then my parents stepped in to care for him, his aunt and uncle, for a couple years. And he's in college now, he's 20, still needing the support. You never really grow out of needing a family and people to be there for you. So I'm honored to be a part of his village as well. And to all the caregivers here, I see you, and you all are really the ones showing up every day, and it does make such a difference. I also have some experience. I started a support group in Ohio online about 5 years ago. So I was able to bring some of that experiences into Carolina. And I truly, truly believe that peer support is often the missing piece, and it can be an underutilized support because we don't necessarily see it as like professional, or maybe there's more billing barriers. But peer support can truly make all of the difference for people. And it's been very cool to be able to witness that. And my background is actually in occupational therapy. So I come from more of a holistic health background, but I've learned so much from my social work friends. Amanda's in education. So it's great to work on this interdisciplinary team together. But we'll get to peer support. I feel like I don't need to go into too much detail here because you all covered it so well in your responses. There are a lot of benefits to peer support. The first being reduced social isolation. I've heard from caregivers before, like, truly, I thought I was alone and I was the only one going through this until I met another caregiver. Or you can't really understand what the situation is like until you're going through it. And if we think about grandparents raising grandchildren, some of their peers are like retired and perhaps living their best life per se, and get to be those in that grandparent role, and those kinship caregivers may feel like, they can't understand. Or if you're raising a sibling at a younger age, going from no kids to suddenly having, two kids or even one child unexpectedly, it can feel very isolating. And a lot of times caregivers are in, survival mode at first, trying to get everything in place. So having that safe place to land can be so impactful, in knowing that I've heard the quote, like, not only are they in my ocean, they're in my boat as well. And that's really the support that we strive to provide with Carolina. We also have peer modeling. So it can be something for someone to tell you something, but to watch someone else go through it and take tips and strategies from others is very powerful for learning and for growing. We know peer support is culturally responsive because it is those represented in the community are the ones, who are the intervention themselves. So we have a slide on cultural responsiveness, but we truly believe that peer support is such a large part of this. So it's not just professionals who think they know what is best, but really those who have gone through it have being a part of what we're doing. And finally, centers around lived experience as expertise. And we saw that word lived experience. And this is so critical and valuable and often overlooked. So you'll see from our peer liaisons in the simulation just how much that lived experience can make a difference. We'll go over this quickly. There is more information on the websites listed on the bottom of the slide, but we believe that for Carolina and for other peer supports, they are trauma-informed and culturally responsive, a lot of ways in their design. And of course, there needs to be supports around everyone involved. So we do provide training and reflective supervision to our peer liaisons. And I'll go into that in a couple of slides. But we have safety, so always prioritizing the safety and well-being of the caregivers that we serve, of our peer liaisons, and encouraging and helping caregivers to meet the basic needs that they have, because we know that's at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And then trustworthiness and transparency is something that we prioritize throughout the Carolina process. We know it can be difficult for caregivers to trust systems and especially research, because they may have had previously experiences that haven't led them to trust. So we really take this responsibility to meet caregivers where they are, to build that trusting relationship, and also be very transparent throughout the process so they know that they can make the choice that is best for them in participating. We have peer support, the bread and butter of Carolina, collaboration and mutuality, and empowerment and voice and choice. So Carolina is a 6-month program and intervention. And we say that it's 6 months, but we really want to see them fly, like beyond when they graduate our program. So building those skills in advocacy and learning and growing, so they can feel like they have tools in a community moving forward, even after Carolina. And then we have components of cultural responsiveness, awareness of cultural differences. And what's great about Carolina or peer support, again, is that representation is built in. So we have a very diverse, brilliant, talented group of peer liaisons from different locations, cultural backgrounds, And we've learned a lot about South Carolina and just from them as well and the experiences that they bring. And we also do provide training on cultural competence and how to work with caregivers from different backgrounds and belief systems. So it's definitely a priority in our peer supports. Knowledge and skills development. So as I mentioned, we do provide training and onboarding to our peer liaisons, as well as monthly coaching sessions and yearly training on topics that peer liaisons suggest could be helpful. And we provide training to our caregivers as part of Kin Carolina so they can have information to help them on their journeys. Adapting practices. This is something we've been implementing for a year, and you learn like something looks a certain way on paper, but once it's in practice, like it may not work as you thought. And we prioritize like accessibility and making sure that we're meeting the needs of those that we're serving. So we're consistently adapting what we're doing to make sure it is responsive to kinship caregivers in South Carolina. Building relationships. This is crucial. We don't see this as a transactional research study where we're doing research on participants. This is us coming in partnership with kinship caregivers, building those relationships, and even no matter what group they're in, which we'll talk about that tomorrow, just being that team that is supportive to them, providing the information and a place that they feel like is safe for them to share, including in our consent meetings as well, in our interviews with them. And finally, continuous reflection and improvement, consistently doing this as a team to see how we can improve and realizing that things will likely change over the course of us implementing this, but really taking caregivers' feedback to heart that in focus groups and hearing from our peer liaisons as well. So this is a short video. Someone on here might look familiar, Ms. Phyllis, just about peer support for our program.
Kinship care as a practice has evolved. 14 years ago, when I assumed custody of my niece and nephew, there were no liaisons. It was your DSS caseworker. Once the case was closed, you were left with the children and you had to fend for yourself.
We offer 4 components. The first is peer supports. So they get a one-on-one peer liaison. So it's mentorship from someone who's already walked the walk.
The peer liaisons that help them as a sounding voice for them, to help them to advocate within the community. The support groups where they can just feel comfortable to say what's on their mind, share different topics without feeling like we're judging them. To work together to ensure that our families have what they need.
So here is what our intervention model looks like, what you just saw. These are the therapeutic components we have. There's also a financial component. And for those who may have missed the first session, just for how we define kinship care, we do define this very broadly, but it's when a relative, a family friend, or someone who's been connected to a child in some way steps in to care for them full time. So it could be grandparents. I use that example often, but there's so many different types of kinship caregivers, and we don't only accept formal or system involved kinship caregivers, but just anyone who is that primary caregiver for the child. So we'll talk about each intervention component. We have peer liaisons who provide that one-on-one mentorship. They are so amazing, and I'm so glad that you get to meet them here today. We have our support groups, and support groups do hold a special place in my heart because it is that sense of community where you can meet caregivers from all different experiences and come together as a group to encourage each other and to share experiences, ask for strategies. It's really that safe place to land. And then we have our training sessions that provide information on topics relevant to being a kinship caregiver and raising a child with a disability. We did develop this with our needs assessment, and we're consistently asking for feedback on the sessions, but examples of topics include self-care, trauma-informed care, information on disabilities and getting a diagnosis or an evaluation, the sensory system, and navigating the school and legal system. And peer support is embedded throughout all of these, even in the trainings, because we have time for discussion and questions at the end and throughout. So just a little background on our peer liaisons and what they do. They touch base weekly with their mentees. And again, going back to cultural responsiveness and that adaptability, what's great about that peer liaison and mentee relationship, it is flexible. So it's up to the peer liaison and the caregiver to decide how is it best for us to connect. And they have the option to connect over text, phone call, in person, on Zoom. So it is it can be changed based on like what's needed by the caregiver, what their preferences are. And it's cool to see when they do meet in person, or, just those text check-ins can make a difference. Hey, how are you? I'm thinking of you. So that is a really awesome part of the peer liaison support that we provide. We also value our peer liaisons as co-designers to this process. So they are compensated for the families that they work with and for their roles, but we also have other opportunities for them to provide their feedback and input, again, from that lived experience lens. So they participate in our advisory council, they attend community events and share about Kin Carolina. They can help lead support groups and give feedback on various parts of our interventions and our resource guide. So we're just very grateful to have them involved in a lot of different ways. We do provide an initial and annual training. Some of the topics that we cover just include a general overview of Kin Carolina. We go over a motivational interviewing model, again, trying to meet that caregiver's needs where they are, ethics, values, and cultural competency, and of course, family and child well-being and safety. And we use a reflective supervision model. So we're consistently reflecting together. Our service coordinator, Tamara, is amazing with our peer liaisons, and we have monthly coaching sessions. And really, it's kind of like a support group for the peer liaisons too, to share what went well, how can we problem solve this as a team. And these are some different ways that peer liaisons can support the caregivers. We have mentoring, coaching and advocacy, promoting help seeking through information and referral coordination, network building, and socio-emotional support. And I think that socio-emotional support, again, is huge. Promoting self-care practices. So you'll see an example of peer support in action shortly, but there's lots of different ways that peer liaisons can be there for caregivers. And it's really that person they can go to help break down the steps for, what their next goal is or what they need to do next for the child in their care. And then always encouraging self-care, because that's so important, and sending the encouragements and positive affirmations. So it's very cool to see just all of the ways that peer support can come in. And then support groups, again, very near and dear to my heart. We do offer them twice per month on Zoom. This is something that we prioritize with accessibility. We know caregivers have very busy schedules. Some work during the day, some are busy in the evenings. So we do have a daytime option and an evening time option caregivers can choose between. It's really a time to get together to reflect and check in as a group. It's a time for them to get to know other participants in the Kin Carolina program. So we do have some structure that we provide. We have guidelines at the beginning of each session. We have a feelings wheel that you'll see, and we always end with encouragement and positive affirmations. But then we have that time, that is the bulk of the meeting for caregivers to really share what's going on. Is there anything that they want to ask of the group, and just checking in with each other. So it's their time to have that support together and build that community. And they are all online for about an hour long. And this is my favorite part of the work that we get to do. I feel so lucky to be able to work with such an amazing team and get to know so many caregivers along the way. And really, we celebrate the strengths. And that's what peer support is. A lot of times in kinship care, it's about the needs, and that is so valid because there's so many supports needed, and it's a constant battle to have those supports in place. But equal to the needs that kinship families have, there's so much strength and joy that kinship families bring about in caregivers. And it's having those moments like someone cracks a joke on the support group and we can laugh together. It's that smile. It's hearing that, someone was having a hard week, but today they were able to have a better day. So really that human side, again, it's not transactional to us. It is treating the whole person and seeing the whole person. So it's very amazing to be able to see and celebrate those strengths, because there are so many, and caregivers are truly the most resilient people I know and joyful people I know as well. So now we will transition to our simulation. You'll recognize some common faces on here from the last session as well. But this you'll be able to get to see peer support in action. So we'll set it up a little bit for you. But as an audience member, you can imagine you've just taken in your relative's children, and you're struggling to manage the relationship with their birth parents and they're feeling overwhelmed. So this is just one example. I will say that birth parent relationship, it can be so complex. It can be different for every family. So we are going to be showing some different perspectives on this. And I think this is an issue in kinship care that often gets looked over, like, oh, it's your family, you take care of it, but there's so much there and there's a lot of support needed around that. So that will be the topic that we focus on, but again, seeing that how that peer support plays out. So here are our wonderful simulation roles. We have Teresa from yesterday, Miss Teresa. She is going to be our main Kin Carolina participant, so you can follow along with how she is doing today. She'll be recently enrolled in our program. We have Miss Pat Brown, who is our peer liaison, also a peer liaison in Kin Carolina. I'll be the service coordinator. And then we have Phyllis Schroeder, who will be a Kin Carolina participant, and Tamara Scott, who will also be a Kin Carolina participant in the support group. So for this first part, Miss Pat is going to reach out to her new mentee, Miss Teresa. They've checked in a couple of times, but this will be an example of their weekly check-in. So start seeing.
Thank you. Bring.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Pat. How are you?
Hi, Miss Teresa. It's so good to hear your voice again. And I'm calling to check in just to see how your day is going.
Oh, if you can tell in my voice, I am so overwhelmed today. It's been one of those days. Have a lot going on.
Okay. How are the children doing?
They're doing good. The 4-year-old is starting to act out a little bit, but we have a lot of things going on.
Okay. Well, I'm calling in to, I'm checking in to see in what way that I can help you.
Well, let me share with you what's going on. When I got custody of my granddaughter, my daughter, she kind of felt like she could, pardon me, phone, felt like she could, just come move in, hang out, which would have been fine, but there was a court order stating that she couldn't have visitations until classes and things were completed. But, that's my daughter, so I kind of allowed it to a certain degree, a mom. But the problem came in when she was not completing the classes. She would take it up on herself to invite people over, or even people would ask her if the baby could go to a birthday party or if they could pick her up or things like that. So when I put my foot down, my daughter kind of distanced herself. She don't come around like she used to. She don't call the kids. When she do, she's given a lot of promises and she don't follow through. And that is why my granddaughter is acting out, because she looks forward to seeing her mom and she believes the promises and different things like that. On the other hand, we have the dad who is trying to be a part, but he's not consistent. He do come. Sometimes he spend time with the children, and sometimes he'll come and just ask me how they're doing or whatever. But he's not consistent, and he too will make promises and things. And then he gets angry when, like, if he wants to take them to visit his family, which is an hour and a half, 2 hours away, I need to be present. And it's like, it's kind of complicated, Miss Pat. How can you help me?
Well, just listening at you, I am also taking care of 6 of my grands. My only daughter and her husband died 3 months apart. And I'm telling you, it's been a very challenging journey. But we're still in the midst of it. We still have to, stay positive. And I'm so thankful that I was able to get in contact. Someone referred me to Kin Carolina, and that is a group, as you are aware, that helps us to stay in contact. Someone that has been through what you're going through with raising our grands, and it's really starting all over again. And it's just so wonderful to just not be, to not be in this alone, that you have help. And because I've found out at first I didn't know where to go or what to do, because I didn't have the help. But after getting help, and as we get, each of us, all of us get on the line to share with each other and to just uplift each other. It's just a great feeling, to know that there are others going through what you are going through. So I also wanted to ask you, as far as the doctor appointments and getting all that lined up, have you um, gotten all of that taken care of yet?
Not all of it. I do have doctor's appointments coming up. I do, like I've had the kids over 2 years, so I do have things in place. But I do
Okay,
appreciate you asking.
and what about school? How are they doing in school?
Well, the last time we spoke, you had referred me to, I think it's First Steps. So I am trying to complete the application process. I am working on it.
Well, that's good to know. So is there anything else that you can think of that I may can help you with at this time?
Well, that is pretty much what I'm going through. Um, Anything, that you can think of that might help, that would be nice.
Okay, well, what I will do, I would like to know if, I know we talk a lot Zoom, but if I may come visit you, and maybe we just look at a list of things together and try to form a checklist
Sure,
to see, where we start, at least with, to have a starting place, and just get together and just talk about some things.
that would be awesome, Miss Pat. I would appreciate that.
Okay, well, it's so very nice talking with you, and I look forward to getting with you, and we'll, get together at what time and what day is good for you, and I will be happy to either come over to your place, or we can meet someplace, if that's, whatever works for you.
Whichever is fine. It's just nice to have someone to listen and understand what I'm going through.
Well, I am here. Believe me, I understand. And you have my number. Please feel free to call any time of day or night. I am here to help in whatever way I can. Okay.
Okay, greatly appreciate you, Miss Pat. You have a
Uh,
nice day.
Again, likewise. So nice talking with you. Okay.
You too. Bye bye.
And I'll be getting back with you.
I look forward to it.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
So this is one example of Miss Pat and Miss Teresa connecting, and we'll show how our support group, how that will play out now. So if those in the support group are ready to go, awesome. So Miss Teresa is going to participate in a support group with others in Carolina. Miss Pat will be back as a participant in the support group, and our peer liaisons are always making sure our caregivers are going to the support group as well. So, all right, I'll put on my support group leader hat now. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our support group today. It's such a pleasure to have you here and to have this time to come together and connect. We always have some new members joining, so we really want everyone to get to know each other. And we did go over our guidelines in the beginning, so you got those. But for introductions, if you all would like to share, you can share your name, where you live, and who you're caring for. And if you want to advance the slide. We also have our color wheel. This is a way for us to check in with ourselves. As caregivers, your life can get so busy, and sometimes it's just like doing the next thing. A lot of the times your own needs and feelings can be on the back burner. So I do invite you all to take this opportunity to think about how you're doing and how you're feeling. So we have all of our colors on this color wheel. It may describe how you're feeling. You may invent a color. Sometimes people are feeling the rainbow of colors, so you can be feeling definitely more than one color at once. I know today I am purple. I'm curious and eager to learn and just excited to be here with you all, but I was a little bit gray yesterday. So I will just call on people to introduce themselves, and then we'll open it up for a discussion after that. So Miss Phyllis, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Phyllis, and I am from the Lexington area of South Carolina in the Midlands. Caring for a 7-year-old granddaughter, but I still have a 20-year-old son at home also. So that's that big age gap hanging out at my house. And this week I've just been feeling blue a lot this week. We are trying to get things together, paperwork together to take the granddaughter on a Disney cruise, and we're having a lot of passport issues, and we're leaving in 21 days. So I'm a little bit worried and concerned about that getting taken care of and being able to take her to enjoy that.
Well, thank you for sharing. Miss Tamara, would you like to share next?
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Tamara. I live in the upstate, and I'm raising my grandson, Jackson. He is 4 years old, and I'm co-parenting with his biological mother and his father at this time. Today, I'm feeling a little blue, a little worried, nervous, and preoccupied, but I'm green as well. I'm hopeful and inspired, and I'm curious and eager to learn purple.
I love it. Yes. Thank you, Tamara.
You're welcome.
Teresa, would you like to introduce yourself? I know you're a little bit newer to our group. We're excited to have you back again.
Well, it's nice to be here. My name is Teresa. I live in the York County area. I am raising my 4-year-old granddaughter and my 2-year-old grandson. And today I'm a whole bunch of colors because I'm blue because I'm more in ages. I'm also gray because I'm overstretched. Let me see. I'm light and energetic always. I'm green because I'm hopeful and inspired. I'm also purple because I'm curious and I'm eager to learn how to put all this together and make everything work.
That's a lot at once, but
Yeah.
some positive feelings in there too. And I always say when you have those good days, you gotta hold on to them because those moments do definitely matter. And I think we have Miss Pat on here as well. Miss Pat, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would. My name is Pat Brown, and as I first stated, I'm taking care of 6 of my grands, so that's a job within itself, even though they are young adults now, but the role never stops. And I'm from Columbia, South Carolina.
Thank you, Miss Pat. Every time you say 6, I have so much respect for all of you.
Yeah.
Got lots of experience to share with us. We're grateful to have you. Well, thank you all. And now I think since we checked in together, I do want to open the floor. Does anyone have anything they want to share about the group? Have any questions to ask? I mean, this is really your time to unload and to also hear from others who can, relate. And we do say everyone's experience is different, so just sharing from your own experience. But if anyone would like to start us off, feel free.
I would like to.
Go ahead.
I'm being challenged. Hello, everyone. Again, I'm being challenged with the biological parents. My daughter, who's absentee, but she do take the time to call in and make a lot of great promises, never show up, never deliver. And then I have the father who's the opposite. He comes around, not really consistent, but he do come. When I say not consistent, he comes maybe twice a month. Sometimes he stays all day and things like that. And it's just frustrating because they have their way they think things should go, and I have mine. But the reason why I'm overwhelmed with it is because it's causing my granddaughter to act out.
That is a lot to deal with at once, trying to look out for everyone, but really, you have your granddaughter to care for and look out for as well. I am curious if anyone in the group, again, I know everyone's experience is very different, but if anyone else would like to share kind of how they've navigated through the child's birth parent being involved or maybe not being involved as well. Thank you so much, Miss Teresa, for sharing.
You're welcome.
I have birth parents that are somewhat involved. So my granddaughter Evelyn is my son's daughter. And he and the mom are no longer together. So now I have to deal with them separately. And I definitely, Teresa, understand, the behaviors when parents are in and out, Evelyn will spend some time with her mom who now has a new baby. So that's a whole new challenge also. Um, and thankfully we have found a wonderful counselor for her. So she sees her twice a month, and I'm able to like text the counselor ahead of time, like, oh, saw mom this weekend. This is what's going on. And she can work with her on that. My son will pop in the house, for 5 minutes. And the other day he came over to sign the papers for the passport. And he was standing in the kitchen talking to my husband, and Evelyn walked out like waiting for a hi. And he was just talking, and she was like, hi, daddy. And like she just wasn't getting what she needed. And it broke my heart. And then I'm like trying to tell him, like, she wants to talk to you. And so I feel like there's so many challenges when you're navigating the relationships with the birth parents too. Like, we know what's best because we've been raising them. I've had her since she was 16 months old. Um, and but they don't know how to do it, or else they would be doing it. So then they fly in and out, and it's difficult.
It is.
And Miss Teresa, my situation is a little different. My daughter and her boyfriend are younger. She had Jackson when she was graduating from high school. And so what I had to do was put those boundaries up front first. I had to let her know what the rules were, what my expectations were, in order for Jackson to be okay, because Jackson was my main concern. I needed to know that he was okay. And because I was acting as the protector in that time, I needed to make sure they were okay as well. But again, Jackson was my main priority. And so putting those boundaries in place for us, it was a challenge at first because we had to continue to enforce the rules and, remind them that we had other children in the home watching them as well. And so once we got over the hurdle, now it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to say that. It took some time, took a long time. But if you continue to keep um, reinforcing it and keep being that advocate for your grandchildren, everything will work out
Yeah.
Okay.
in time.
Right.
Clearly.
In time.
Yeah, the
Thank-
boundaries I think are super important. If you
Yes.
have to, so there are some days when you would like to say, oh yeah, go spend some time with your parents because I want to go out and do something.
Mhm.
But that's not in the child's best interest, and you've already set those boundaries for supervised visitation or whatever. You have to
Mhm.
stick to it even when it's not convenient for you, because it's still what's best.
Exactly. Exactly.
And well, in my case, with both parents being deceased and taking care of my 6 grands, it's a very challenging situation because it was my only daughter that passed, and her husband, and trying to really didn't have time to grieve because I had 6 children that it was starting all over again. It was just it was devastating, but I'm so grateful that every day is different.
Mm.
And as I go on with life with these children, I'm getting the strength that's needed. But every day is not good because they all have their different attitudes and personalities. So it never ends.
Yeah.
How old were they when you got them?
The youngest was from 3 to 18.
And how old are they now? How long have they been with you?
The youngest is not 8. They've been with me for 15 years.
Wow.
So like I said, it never ends.
And you didn't have Kin Carolina support for 14 of those.
Well,
Yeah.
that is correct. That is
Wow.
correct.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you all so much for sharing all of the different experiences. And again, all of this, there's a lot there. And in kinship care, we do know it's a positive because birth parents are more likely to be involved with that connection there and with the connection that you all have with them. But with that, there are also a lot of things to navigate through and decisions to make. And sometimes there's legal things in place that make that decision. Sometimes it's up to you to make that decision, but always like setting your boundaries and also knowing what you think is best for the child, because you all really do know the child best. So where you do have that power, really owning your power and making that decision for yourself. And I imagine as a caregiver too, you've had to kind of switch your roles where maybe you were the grandparent to the child. Now you're the parent. And then also, how does that affect your relationship with their birth parent if they're your son or daughter related to you differently? So it's a lot of change at once too. And sometimes it doesn't go spoken about because it's not natural to talk about it. But that's really why we have this space here. And just know like your feelings around that are valid too. So I don't know if anyone that resonates with anyone,
Yes.
but feel free to
Oh,
share if
yeah.
anyone wants to share on that too.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, because they feel like my daughter says, "Well, you trying to take my kids away from me? You're the mother now," and I'm like, temporarily, at least that's what I thought.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I'm
And my situation is going to be definitely long term, and that, but like I said, I've had her since she was 16 months, because initially, like, I knew that there was no way they could raise her. They both have mental illness and can't take care of themselves. But I said I didn't want to, because I didn't want to cause those problems between my son and I wanted to have that grandparent experience. So she went to an aunt and uncle, and then that didn't work out. And then she was visiting with me one weekend, and I got a phone call that she couldn't go back. And so all of a sudden at 16 months, she was there. And then I had to step into that role of, not, I had to protect her, and my focus had to be on her and not on my son anymore. He's, in his 30s. It's time for him to take care of himself, and I need to take care of her.
Yeah. And I battled with myself because this is my daughter, and I want the best for her. But I also knew that he was innocent. He was a little one that couldn't fend for himself, so I had to fend for him. And so I knew when he started crying for me, I was like, "Oh no, I'm not the mama. You are the parent. I'm Gigi." And so I had to talk to her, sit down with her, because she was going through a lot of emotions during that time too. But I had to show her how to soothe him, how to basically be that parent that she needed to be for him. But I was right there making sure everything was okay.
Right.
So it was hard. It's hard being that Gigi and being mommy, because sometimes he would call me mommy, and I had
Mhm.
to correct him and say, "No, no, no, I'm Gigi," and then he would say, "Okay, Gigi, mommy," you know.
Right.
And so it's a catch-22, especially when it's your child, because you want the best for them.
Yeah.
But but I didn't want to judge her. I
Mhm.
knew that everybody else was judging her because she was a young mom. So I think it was so important for me to be that stepping stool for her and Jackson.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and even the name thing is hard. Like, sometimes Evelyn will call me mom, and I'll say, "Honey, I'm not your mom." She's like, "I
Yeah.
know, but it feels like it because you're taking care of me." Like,
Yeah.
she's at the age now where she can articulate that.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
but I peeked the other day because she was making a Mother's Day card, and it said "Happy Mother's Day, Sopta." So, like, she knows,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
But that brings to mind something, and I don't know, with all the community people on here, Mother's Day is coming up, and it is a
Mm-hmm.
huge issue for kinship care families.
Yeah.
The kids who are not being raised by their moms at school all day hear, "Mom, mom, mom, write this about your mom, do this about your mom." And that has got to be just really emotionally challenging for them. And so we, as their caregivers, have to be extra sensitive during these couple of weeks coming up. Not that
Yeah.
we're not always, but I think it's like at the forefront right now.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
just to add to that, but I always tell him he's so special because he has two parents that love him. He has his mommy, he has his papa, he has his daddy. So all of us try to celebrate one another. So um, I would just encourage you to continue telling her that she is so special, that
That's
she has
right.
so many people that love her. So
I love that. That's a great strategy. Yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely as we said, like a lot of changes at once. And I don't know if you all have heard the term ambiguous loss, but it's a loss that's not physical, like someone passing away, but like a loss that can happen in your life. And I've heard from other caregivers too, like I've had to grieve the loss of being a grandparent or like that role. So there's different ways that loss can be experienced. And obviously there's so many joys too. And you all are so open to sharing those as well. But I am wondering if people have strategies for kind of coping with all of the feelings around this, or even strategies for setting boundaries with the birth parents, like we talked about. So anyone feel free to weigh in. And Miss Pat, I'm curious to hear from you too, going from the grandparent of 6 to the parent of 6 so quickly.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Well, it was such joy when my daughter and my son of love were living, because I would go get my grands and to give them a break, but I could always take them home.
Yeah.
Then after they passed, it they were home, and trying to switch the hat to, whereas the nanny, I could spoil them and send them home. When they when I became the nanny and the permanent caregiver, um it was very difficult,
Mhm.
because in the mix with with the parents being deceased, I'm just so thankful that a will was done. If the will had not been done, it would have been very detrimental. It was
Mhm.
hard enough as it was having a will, going to the different appointments, going to schools.
Yeah.
It's a very challenging situation when the parents are not here to speak up. So
Absolutely.
that was a job within itself.
Yeah.
Many sleepless nights, and I had my boots on the ground. I could not, I had no time to have self-pity, because
Mhm.
that was not helping me. I had to reach out for help, with different organizations, trying to seek help, because
Yeah.
this was brand new.
Yeah.
And it always it always didn't pan out as I would have hoped that it would, but I could not sit down here twisting my thumbs wanting things to happen. Like I said, I had to put my boots on the ground and get busy and get
Yeah.
out there.
Absolutely. Yes. And you need your village as a caregiver too. We always talk about children needing villages, but you all need your village. So for you to reach out and get help, that's super important. So I appreciate you sharing that. Any
Angela,
other?
can I address Miriam's question? Do we have time? Often, I mean, whatever mentee I'm paired with, if they are at any proximity to Evelyn's age, we try to do things together so that they also know that they're not alone. Um, but then even for Evelyn, like getting her in counseling really early. And I know whenever I go have lunch with her, there's always some kid. If you're her grandma, why does she live with you? And I just say, because she does, because we love her and she lives with us, So, but they're in first grade. When they get older, the questions I'm sure will get a little deeper and they're going to keep pressing. But I think um, I'm going to have to at some point give her a good script so
Mm,
that she can answer the question and then end the conversation and not feel bombarded.
yeah.
I think that's something that we're definitely going to have to work on.
Thank you. Thank you for that sharing that great strategy too, Miss Phyllis. Let's see. We'll have Miss Teresa and Tamara share, and then we'll wrap up so you can reflect on anything that has helped you, maybe anything you want to try. We know self-care is really important for being able to take care of yourself and navigating all of the things and changes.
Okay, I think for me, like I said before, just understanding that I'm selfless for wanting to take care of myself and not selfish. I think that was so important for me to grasp in this whole thing, and I'm learning that from everybody on this in the support group, that I'm not selfish for wanting to take time and just smell the roses or just go outside and do little things that mean the most to me. And so that has helped me a lot in consistency. And then also, I want Jackson to be strong. And so I always tell him that you are enough. You know, I love you. You are, and I always say those positive affirmations to myself because once I start saying it, I will continue to believe it. And
Mhm.
so that's how I deal with things.
Thank you. I love that strategy. And we do have our positive affirmation at the end. And sometimes it seems like it's just words, but truly when you say it to yourself, even if you write it down, sometimes writing
Yeah.
it can make such a difference and you
Hmm.
start to live into those affirmations. So
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that.
Mhm.
Tamara always has the best one-line affirmations.
Ah, thank
Miss Teresa, I think you're on mute. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh, there you
There we
are.
go.
you.
I'm new to the group, so I think I pulled something from everyone. I like how Miss Tamara has the positive, and it's making me think, rethink how to do it, how to integrate. I'm just here to watch over you do this, and maybe I can support her getting the classes and things done. And I like Miss Phyllis's input about how just how to navigate different things and how to not just look at it as being temporary, but this could be a long-term situation. And also from Miss Pat, and I tip my hat to you, Miss Pat, because
Yeah.
All of us.
food,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Mm,
But you
yeah,
know what? Just do it. That's
yeah.
basically
that's
what you're
right.
saying. Just do it.
That's right.
So I
And
appreciate, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, dear. I'm sorry.
I appreciate all of you and everything that you shared. You really helped me.
I
Appreciate
just
you.
wanted to say on the other side, while the cameras are rolling, everyone want to be there to help. But once the cameras cut off, you're on your own, and that's just life. I had to tell myself, people have their lives to and their situations to take care of, and so I had to stop looking forward to from help from people,
Mm,
because once the cameras are off, you're on your own.
Yeah, so
mm,
sometimes it can be hard when you don't have like the support from your family or friends like you
That's
thought
right.
you
Hmm.
would, but just knowing too that you're still not alone and there is more supports
mm.
out here, which is why programs like King Carolina is so important. And I don't know if anyone who's been in it for a little longer wants to share, how it's impacted them. But hopefully, Miss Pat, too, you felt now that you have that village with you.
It makes a world of difference.
Well, and it being a caregiver changes your whole dynamic with your friend group too.
Support.
Like all of a
That's
sudden,
right.
when we got custody, we were in our 50s and we had a 1-year-old, like who does that? So then when your friends want to go do things, I got a baby, like I can't go,
Mhm.
So it's challenging. It changes everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I think learning from everybody, like Miss Teresa said, she learned a little bit from everybody today. And I think that when I'm in the support group, I learn from everybody as well. And I take that, a little piece of everybody, and take it back into my life. And I
Hmm.
think that's made me stronger,
Mm,
um, not just for myself, but for my family as well.
mm. I love that.
Yeah.
There's such a strength in like the similarities we have, but the diversity we have too,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Learn from each other.
Yeah.
Well, this has been amazing. Thank you all so much for sharing. And I do want to encourage, like, after this support group, if you have some time to take care of yourself, even if that's just like a couple of deep breaths or later tonight, this is like hard stuff that you all are going through. So that self-care is so important. And don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need anything. Don't hesitate to reach out to your peer liaison. Just know that we're all here for you. We may not have all of the perfect answers, but
Mhm.
you're not alone and we can problem solve together. I do want to end with our positive affirmation today, and I feel like it actually goes pretty well with what we were talking about, just navigating different things in the space that you are now. Normally we have 3 that we choose between, but we're gonna go with this one for time. But I'll read it out loud and I invite you all to think about it and to take it with you. We'll send this out to you afterwards as well. But it says, in the same way, the ocean finds its rhythm, even when the tides change. I am too finding new rhythms and ways of moving through this very space. So I just encourage you. You're always learning. Miss Pat's been doing it for a while, but like you said, every day is different. Constantly having to adapt and find where you are in the space. So as you're moving through that, just know again, you have a boat in the ocean that you're in, and we're all here for you. I look forward to seeing you all next time. In the meantime, again, connect with your peer liaisons. We have our training coming up, but don't hesitate to reach out to the service coordinator, me, or your peer liaison at any time. But thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank
And we
you.
Thank
appreciate you.
you.
Uh,
You.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Bye
Nice meeting you.
bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
So now we just have a quick follow-up between Miss Pat and Miss Teresa, and then we'll reflect together.
Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello,
Hi,
this is
Miss
Pat.
Pat. How are you?
I am doing fantastic today. How are you?
I am super fantastic. I am just calling you to let you know I really enjoyed the support group the other week. I was able to reach out to my daughter and the children's father. I had them come. We had dinner. Um, I just reintroduced, asked them, "Well, can we start over? Can we start from a different perspective? I would like, I set them my goals. I explained to them my goals, what my vision, I should say. I would like to see the kids at home with them. They don't have to be together. I also explained to them that I'm here to support you. What can I do to help, like my daughter, both of them get their classes completed, get on their feet. And they were very receptive, and we're working on a plan. So I really want to let you know I really appreciated the support group the other night.
That is super superb. I am so happy to hear that. Look at together, we can make it happen.
Yeah, yes, I feel so
That
good
is
about it.
fantastic. That's great. That's great. Well, it's good to hear good news, and I thank you so much for sharing, and the better days are coming.
Yes, I think that.
I appreciate you calling. Okay, dear.
Okay, I want to say thank you and thank you for everyone and all that you all do. And you have a nice evening, okay?
Okay, you too. Thank you so very much, dear.
You're more than
Bye
welcome.
bye. Bye bye.
End scene. Good job, everyone. I guess we were so convincing when we were saying bye. People thought the the webinar was over, but we are still here. um, but yeah, thank you all for watching that. We just a slide on family dynamics and kinship care, and then we'll have an opportunity for everyone to reflect. But and as you saw in the simulation in the support group, everyone's situation really is different, and having those individualized supports is so important. But we heard about changes to the family system, having to reestablish the roles and responsibilities and hierarchies. So the birth parent's relationship with the child changes, and the caregiver's relationship with the child changes, and the birth parent and caregiver's child relationship changes. So it's a lot of change at once, and having supports to navigate that and not just be like, okay, it's family, figure it out. Like even Miss Phil said, having some scripts to use could be helpful. So really that change can be a lot, and it can be not only a logistical change, but it can be emotional change as well. So we're glad to have some supports in place to process all of those different emotions. And then I know people mentioned like therapy being a helpful resource as well. Changes, yeah, so I think we covered most of this, but really the strength of kinship care is that connection with the birth parent and caregivers, having that shared history and children being able to stay in the family. So whether that's like the family holiday traditions, the stories that caregivers may have about the birth parents, just that connection there, and that birth parents are more likely to be involved. And we know that when children can have their birth parents involved in a healthy way, it's better for them and for their well-being too. So this is just one topic in kinship care that we highlighted, but I will say we never ever run out of different topics to talk about and share about, because there's just a lot to navigate at once. So I thank you all for listening. I thank you to our caregivers and peer liaisons for their Oscar performance again today. And hopefully that was just a sneak peek a little bit into what we do at King Carolina and what we mean by peer support. So now I'll hand it off to Amanda to lead some reflections.
Thank you so much. And I echo what Angela said. Thank you to our amazing peer liaisons and our team who did that simulation. I think you truly showed the heart of kinship care. And I think from the comments in the chat, people definitely, that resonated with people. What is something that you took away from today's simulation, either that you can put into your practice if you work with caregivers or families, or something that just was a personal takeaway for you? We love to highlight successes. Thanks for sharing that. Yes, ongoing process. Absolutely.
I love that. Relationships are so important and really help with change and healing. I think healing is a really big word there. It's a process.
This one says the importance of connection and not feeling alone. Tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about the preliminary results we've gotten from our program, because we are studying it. And unprompted, in almost every exit interview or focus group we've done, someone has said, I don't feel alone anymore. It's been really powerful to witness that. So absolutely.
Someone said the inner strength and courage of caretakers.
Sometimes you just need to vent. Like sometimes we don't need to put a spin on it. You just need to vent, and having that space for it is so important too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, needs to be careful not to make the assumption about family. Absolutely. And someone else said they were able to feel the support through the simulation. So I'm glad that came through.
I liked this one too. I loved hearing the stories of how the children came into, or how they came into kinship care. I always find that fascinating too, because someone said in the chat earlier, everyone's story is so different, but also so similar. I definitely think that's true here. Takes courage. Yes, we really thank our participants for being so brave and sharing their stories.
Oh my gosh. Someone is so sweet. Elizabeth said, I'm glad you're doing research on this. This is clearly going to be a national model on how to do this in the best interest of the child.
I know, I saw that. Thank you so much.
I hope so one day. Yeah, family dynamics can be very different, especially depending on where the birth parent is on their journey as well.
Mm-hmm. Someone said like the difference that connection and support can make in regards to your perspective and rejuvenating an individual. I love that. I think that captures it so well. What is our coverage area for services? That's a great question. And again, we'll be going a little deeper into our program tomorrow, but we are in the Midlands region, and our new announcement is that we're expanding to the Low Country region of South Carolina right now. We have a 5-year grant from the Duke Endowment, and we're very grateful for that. And in that plan for that grant is to also expand to North Carolina towards the end of our program. So we have an eye on expansion, and we're definitely working towards it every day.
I love that last comment. Peer support is irreplaceable, as lots of caregivers are experiencing the journey that is clear and no end date, right? Like it's a lifelong journey. It's not often there's an ending time to it. So that's why those consistent supports. And we do connect caregivers to supports after Kin Carolina as well. I think that will come up tomorrow. But we connect them to organizations like Kindred Hearts, who's our implementation partner. So they have that continuing village and resource for support, because it's a lifelong journey, as you said. And to all the caregivers on here, you're seen, and truly thank you for all that you do. Do we have a social worker on the webinar to help new caregivers navigate things? I don't know if you're asking specifically for Kin Carolina, but we do have a service coordinator who will help caregivers with navigating all the different things, and benefit specialists as well. So we do have team members in addition to the peer liaisons, where we can really come around the caregiver and give them all the different types of supports, and walk them through that. And our service coordinator has lots of great experience, Tamara. So we're very grateful to have her a part of our team.
And Joyce, I'm not sure if you're asking like if you or someone you know needs resources, but you can contact us if you have any of those questions, and we could do our best to try and connect you. Just a reminder that tomorrow we have our final session already of our 3-day series. It'll be from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, about our research, design, and how that impacts implementation. And you will get to hear a panel of some people from today and some additional people who are involved with our program or have graduated from the program about their experiences, not only with being a part of it, but also how research has impacted it. So we definitely hope you join us for that.
Thank you so much for joining our session today about peer support in Kin Carolina. If you're interested in learning more, you can visit www.kincarolina.org on our website and also reach out to our team on the contact page. Thank you so much for your time today.